Hi, welcome to DTKSS. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hari. I'm having 14 years of experience in IT industry. I'm a certified technology specialist and solution architect. In the current video series, we are going to discuss about Azure DevOps. So, the course content we discuss in the entire video series is what is Azure DevOps and benefits of using Azure DevOps and Agile Scrum methodology and Azure boards. So we walk through the subtopics like creating the epic features, stories, and tasks using the work items and boards, and applying the styles and tag colors in the boards, and iteration planning and capacity planning. So this is very important, like how you are going to use your resources to deliver the sprints. And then Azure repos, so in this Azure Repos is a version control, code version control. Like you can create the repository and you can uh, whatever the code you have created in your local, you can add those files into the repository and commit those changes into the repository and that push the changes into the repository. When the multiple developers is working in your team, you have to pull their changes into the from the repository to sync up whole code. And the next important concept is Azure pipelines. So in this, we discuss a subtopics like creating a build pipeline. So whatever the code we have pushed into the repository, based on that code solutions, we can create the build pipelines. And also, when you create a build pipeline, it will create a default ML configurations. So you can extend that ML configuration to add the a mapping of .NET SDK, so that is either 6 or 7, and restore the dependencies and build the project. And next one is templates. The templates is reusable configurations. Wherever you want, you can able to use those n number of times. So you can call multiple times same template passing the different parameters and push output files into the artifactory. So whatever we build the project, so there will be some output will generate. So that output files we need to push into the artifact. So based on these location, we'll create the build pipeline. So these output files we need to deploy into virtual machines or containers or app services. So we are creating a build pipeline based on this artifactory, then adding the resources. So we need to add the virtual machine or container or app services to deploy these output files into the resources. Implementing the pre and post deployment of tools. So when you configure the release pipeline, the release manager has to review the package whether everything is good. Then he has to approve that package to deploy into the resources, and he can able to perform the post deployment operations as well, like there will be a post deployment, you can configure the approvals as well. And next one is created task groups. So when there is a multiple tasks is there, you want to reuse those tasks into the multiple release pipelines, you can create these task groups. So I will go complete demo how we can able to create the task groups. And when you want to deploy into the multiple resources, same package you want to deploy into the multiple resources, you can use the deployment groups. And next, Azure test plans and Azure artifacts. So this is about continuous testing. So you can create your you can run all your tests using these test plans. And artifacts is a sharing your code. So we'll discuss about this in detail in the later video sessions. So now in this session we'll talk about what is Azure DevOps. So the main goal of Azure DevOps is brings the all entire team into single platform. So Azure DevOps supports a collaborative culture and brings the developers, project managers, or business analysts, any other contributors for the project to develop a software into a single platform for entire life cycle. It allows the organizations to create and improve the products at a faster way than the traditional development approaches. So Azure DevOps will follow the sprint methodology, like agile scrum methodologies it will follow. So you can able to deliver your products faster way than the traditional approach. Traditional approach is you need to complete whole product, then you need to deliver. But you can, with using this approach, you can go by iteration. So you can go adding the value to each iteration and you can deliver that features. So basically DevOps supports five major features. One is Azure boards. So Azure board is a standalone service within the Azure DevOps suite that helps the teams to plan, track, and discuss the work across the entire software development features. So we discuss here. So it is brings the developers, project managers, and contributors into single platform. So how it is using the Azure boards. So here you can able to create the task, you can able to create the features, you can able to create the epics. Epics is nothing but representing the whole product scope. So I will discuss what is the different sub items available under the Azure boards in next sessions. And Azure repos. Azure repo is a set of version control tool that you can use to manage your code. So we have discussed that in the above. So what is the subtopics available? I'll go through in detail each topic and I will demo on it. And Azure pipelines. So Azure pipelines helps to automatically builds the code, deploy the code, and test the code using the CI/CD pipelines. And Azure testing plans provides a rich and powerful tools. Everyone in the team can use these to drive the quality and collaboration throughout the development process. Azure Artifacts enables the developer to share their code efficiently and manage their packages from one place. So now we talk about what is the benefits. So we already know. So these are all the major features and how these are going to help to deliver the product or the project. But we'll see that what is the major benefits of Azure DevOps is faster time to the market. Like Azure DevOps relies on the IaaS model that automates the configuration and provisioning of development environments just using the JSON and YAML files, and strong security and compliance to protect the vulnerabilities and attacks in the infrastructure. So you no need to bother about this infrastructure, so like how you are creating, building the code, all those things. And improved collaborations. Azure DevOps helps the developers, managers, testers to work together in entire SDLC. Azure Boards provides a set of agile tools to plan, track, and discuss the work in the entire development process and increase the efficiency and productivity. Why? Because of CI/CD pipelines. Because when you commit your code to repository, the build pipelines will automatically pick your changes and build that. And if there is any errors, quickly identifying the defects and alerts to you what is the problem with the build and deploying to the solution directly in the respective environment. So there is no manual intervention. You just configure and leave it. Then it will do automatically build when there is a change is committed to the repository, and that will be deployed using the release pipeline to the specific environment. Which source you want to which environment you want to deploy, you can able to deploy. Enhanced customer satisfaction. Why? Because of Azure DevOps supports different programming languages and platforms to develop the product or the projects. I mean, to deliver the product or the projects. So this is all about the what is Azure DevOps and the benefits of using Azure DevOps. In the next session, I will cover about the Scrum methodology. So this session is brings you what is Scrum process and who are the actors being involved in the Scrum. Thank you. Hi. Welcome to DTKSS. In the current video session, we are going to discuss about Agile Scrum process. This Agile Scrum process indicates how we are going to deliver the project or the product. So, the Agile Scrum process is a popular Agile framework designed for incremental product development. It by nature it is experimental and allows the developer to assume or imagine the work patterns and test their ideas and process the experience and perform the necessary adjustments. So now we talk about who are the actors being available in the Scrum process. One, stakeholder; second, product owner; third, Scrum master; and fourth, development team. So now we talk about who is the stakeholder. A stakeholder might be an individual person or group of people who are impacted by the outcome of the product. Why? Because they are the ones sponsoring the budget to develop the project or the product. So stakeholder usually keep the healthy relationship with product owner and to share the important product details. These stakeholders are responsible for conveying their concerns to PO and providing a regular feedback on the product. Then the second actor is product owner. So this product owner is responsible for maximizing the returns on the investment by identifying the product features and translating them into prioritized list. So product owner will decide that which feature has to go first and which feature has to go next. He is the one responsible to collect the requirement and list all the features into the product backlog. Then we talk about the Scrum Master. A Scrum Master helps to the product team to learn and apply the Scrum for reaching all the business values. The Scrum Master is not team manager, product manager, or team lead. He serves the team to help the remove the impediments and facilitate whatever the development team is required and protecting the colleagues from outside interference and helping them to adapt the agile practices. So basically, Scrum Master will coach the or educate to the product owner and team and rest of the company to use the Scrum practices. And then last but not least, development team. A development team in the Scrum includes the people who are working to develop and deliver the requested and committed product increments. Scrum developers are cross-functional members who are capable to achieve the sprint goals. In this development team may contains the software engineers, architects, system admins, analysts, UI designers, and QA experts, etc. So they build the product that product owner indicates. And next we talk about the Scrum actions. Basically, for any project, first step gathering the necessary information about the future product. So what the product owner will do is product owner interact with the stakeholder and gather the information. So it is the product owner responsibility. This product owner contacts the stakeholder to understand their vision and the future software and gathering the user stories and put them all into a place called product backlog. So this product backlog is list of all the features requirements needed to complete a certain project. So the product backlog contains all the features. So what the main goal of the product will contain at the product backlog. So this product backlog list may contains new features and bugs or defects, anything you can add into the product backlog. So the product owner will decide which feature to be on the top list, which feature to be next. He is the one will decide which has to go first, which has to go next. And once you added all the features into the product backlog, the next step is sprint planning. In the sprint planning, all product owner, scrum master and team will gather and they will finalize what going to take place in the current sprint. So they will divide the features into multiple tasks. Then they will decide that what tasks to be added into the current sprint. This will take, the sprint planning will take for each week sprint planning 2 hours. If you are planning for 2 weeks at a time, it will take 4 hours. So this is about the sprint planning. After finishing this stage, so it will contains the sprint backlog. So this sprint backlog contains the what are all the tasks to be completed into that particular current sprint. So many of them will confuse between the product backlog and the sprint backlog. I want to clarify that product backlog contains the entire project features. The sprint backlog contains only about the tasks to be completed to the current sprint. And once the sprint has been iteration has been created, then the developer start execution of the sprint. So meaning in the sprint may contains the multiple tasks. So multiple developers will work on the same sprint. So there will be a different stages like in progress, new, in progress and complete. So all the tasks completed, we can take that as a sprint completed. So that is called increment. So when you complete the sprint status will change as a done. So when the sprint status changes as a done means the incremental or new feature added to the product. Basically, in the sprint execution, there will be a daily scrum call will be there. When the developers is working on the sprint, so all the developers basically the daily scrum call being aimed for a short time like 15 minutes. So they will discuss what has been done, what we are going to do today. So this scrum call will plan what we are going to do next 24 hours. Then in this way, the development team work on the sprints different tasks. Once the sprint status is changed to done, so when they change the sprint status to done means the product increment is happened. So it is increment is happened means but we are reaching to one step up what the stakeholder is expecting for the product. So we have multiple iterations. So which contains the multiple increment product increments which we are stepping up to reach the final stage of the final deliver the final feature of the product. Fine. So we until now what we done is the product owner gather the features and put into the backlog. Then the team like a product owner and the development team and the scrum master will sit and decide how what are the tasks to be uh, converted into the features to be converted and how we are going to deliver. Then sprint execution. In these steps, the sprint execution, the development team work on the different tasks and all the tasks exist in the sprint is completed, then the sprint status will reach to done. Once it reached done means the product increment is happening. So once the sprint is completed, once this stage is completed, that means sprint is completed. The sprint is completed. Sprint completed. Then sprint review. So what the features we have been delivered to that product, the stakeholder will review and will give the feedback. So he's the one will product owner and the stakeholder will decide whether really we have achieved this state or not. And then once sprint review done, so maximum sprint review will take 2 hours for each sprint. And then there is a stage called sprint retrospective. So this sprint retrospective will happen after sprint review completed, before the next sprint planning started. So in the sprint retrospective meeting, Scrum Master, product owner, and the development team will discuss what went well in the past sprint and what we can able to do better in future sprints. And thus it will repeat the same process again. Once the sprint retrospective completed, then sprint planning for the next features and divide into tasks and create the sprint and sprint execution. And once sprint is completed, then the sprint review and sprint retrospective. So this is an incremental process, so it will continue until the product and project features is completed. So this is about the scrum process. Thank you. Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In the current video session, we are going to discuss about how to create the DevOps account. Basically, you can create the DevOps account using either GitHub account or using the Microsoft account. So in this current video session, I am going to use the Microsoft account to create the DevOps account and to perform the build operations, etc. So I'm going to click on the Start Free. So this has redirected to my other account. So I want to log in using different account. So I'm going to use that T2K Software Solutions @gmail.com. Then click next, enter the password and sign on. Then it will ask you the name, your name, and the account and from which country. Click on continue. Now the account is created. So what is our next step? So we have to set up the organization. We have to create a new organization. Click on the new organization and continue. So you can give whatever it name. I'm just keeping as it is, and you need to enter the captcha characters like YW4HWDDD. Click on continue. So now we are creating the organization with D2K Software Solutions. So that is the organization name. So now our organization is created, D2K Software Solutions. Then the project name will be, you can choose whatever it name. I'm going to choose web application 1. So here you can able to choose either public project or private project. So here it was telling that public projects are disabled for your organization you can turn on the public visibility with organization policies. So I'll just choosing the private project and click next. So when I click next, so I have redirected to the my default Azure DevOps page. So here you can see whatever we discussed in our previous video sessions like Azure boards, Azure repos, pipelines, test plans, artifacts, dashboard. So here in the dashboard you can able to add the widgets like you can able to see the number of tasks being assigned to you. So add the widget. So when you click on add widget, it was showing the widget list available you can able to add here. For example, I have choosing that assigned to me and I have chosen border chart. So like the way you can able to choose whatever the items you have been required, you can able to choose that. So I was very much interested to talk in this session is organization settings. So we have created organizations. So you can able to modify the organizations and you can apply the policies and permissions and you can add the projects, you can add the users, etc. So here these projects, so you can create the new project, for example web application 2. So like the way you can able to add the another project. So just create, and here you can able to add your users like you can able to add your team members using here. So add users, so you can choose the access level, who is the permissions and the project. So you can give the specific project also. For example, there is multiple projects is running in your organization. So particular user you can give only for that particular project. And this is about the billing. So you can access the billing from here. And the very important thing is policies. You can able to add third party application access via OAuth, allow the public projects and save. Now when you go to the create new project, you can able to create the public project as well and the permissions. So here by default you get some permissions has been interfaced, I mean inherited. So then you can able to add any group of permissions and you can assign to the users which you have been created. And the board process, here you can able to choose the, by default it contains the 4 processes. One is basic, so the template is flexible for any process and great for the teams getting started with Azure DevOps. So whatever the projects we have created under this is 2 projects is falls under the basic process, since it was the by default it was selecting. But when you are creating the project, you can able to choose which project or which process you want to adapt for that particular project. So either you can able to adapt the agile, scrum, CMMI and agile pools. So by default you will have the agile pipelines. So this is the default configurations, and repos contains the repositories, etc. So now we go already in the process, might be I'll choose agile will be my default process, so set as default. So when I go to the project, create the new project. Now see, earlier before I update this the permissions, sorry, the policies, I just, it was by default it was like that, it was not allowed the public project. So when I go and create the new project, this public project was disabled to me by default. So what it was to indicate me is public projects are default for your organization. You can turn on the public visibility with organization policies. Here you can able to choose the version control, whether It is Git or TFS version control, and you can able to choose which work process you want to create. For example, if you want to create with CMMI, then I will create this as a web application 3. So you can able to choose which process you want to adapt to deliver the project, whether you want to go with Agile or CMMI, or which version control you want to choose. By default, it will select the Git. So I'm just leaving as version control is Git, and I'm choosing Scrum, and I'm going to give the description also web application 3 and create. So like the way when you go to the policies, just enable the create the project, and now go back to that and create one more project is web application 4, and just give the description. So I'm just giving for example, so you can give the relevant, and as you can choose whatever it may be. So just click on the create, and the one more important is you can able to connect to the Azure Active Directory to get the users from the Azure Active Directory, and you can give the add them into the project. You can add them into the project. Otherwise, if you are not integrated with Azure Active Directory, you can add your by manually, and you can choose that. For example, you are going to give the name and click add. So I'll give my other email ID, and add to the project, add. So now the new user be added, and then we talk about parallel jobs. So this parallel jobs is like when you define the pipeline, you can run the multiple jobs. So when pipeline runs, for example, you don't have enough parallel jobs to your organization, then the jobs being configured under that pipeline will run one and after. So that is the difference. So here if you can see that for private projects you have one parallel job, and public projects you have 0 parallel jobs. So to get these parallel jobs to be enabled, you need to write an email to the Microsoft team to get permission. So I will demonstrate when we are creating a build pipeline. I will demonstrate how you can write email to the Microsoft team to enable these parallel job, because since you are using the free free plan, then you will not get the parallel job, public project parallel job, and for private projects you got one parallel job. So this is about organization settings. Then I will go to the, so since we have 4 web applications, so first 2 has created with the base process, and this is Scrum and Agile. So I'll open the web application 1 and go to the project settings. So basic difference is project configuration, like you can have the sprints, so you can create the new sprint, and you can add the child items, you can create new child items, and the team configuration, you can configure the teams. So you can see the backlog items, what is the levels it is having is only epics and issues for the basic area. But when I go to the web application 3, you will see the difference, project settings and team configuration. it contains the features, backlog items, and epics. So this epics is not being selected by default when you create the process. So if you need the epics to that project, you can enable and you can save it. So this is the one difference, like when you want to choose the different process. So when I want the features, epics and work items, then I will go with the agile process. And also you can configure the working days. Here in this team configuration, you can configure the working days. So capacity. So when you are planning the capacity, you can it will be configuration allow to you to plan the capacity planning for the resources. So that feature will be available in sprints, board sprints. So you can configure the capacity. So for example, this resource for the development 8 hours per day. So this is the configuration for him. So you can add the number of developers, and you can see that how many days it will take the sprint to complete. For example, you have multiple sprints is there. So based on this capacity, you can able to configure those things. So I will discuss in detail about this capacity planning later sessions. So I want to give you an overview why we use these settings, like in the project setting, team configuration. So why we use these working days, all those things. And this is the navigation levels, like backlogs we will use to create the issues or the features or the work items. So this is about the navigation levels. And working with bugs. So bugs are managed with requirements, bugs are managed with tasks, bugs are not managed with backlogs and boards. So by default it was selected the bugs are managed with the requirement. So that's all about this working with bugs. So we'll go in detail when we are using the boards. So these are all the project level settings. So whatever we configure the organization, it will applicable for all the projects under that organization. So when you go for to the specific project, whatever you are modifying this project setting, it will be specific to that project, and you can able to configure what the project needs. So that's all about the Azure DevOps creation and walking through the different of the configuration steps. Thank you. Hi, welcome to TTKSS. In the current video session, we are going to discuss about the Azure boards. So now we talk about what is Azure boards. Azure board is a standalone service in Azure DevOps, which helps to plan, track, and discuss the work items entire project lifecycle. So everyone in the team can use these boards to track or plan the work items. So these Azure boards are flexible, customizable platform for the team to managing their work items like user stories, bugs, tasks and issues. So you can able to track these user stories, bugs, issues or tasks entire project lifecycle. So now we talk about the different items available under the Azure boards. So now we talk about the work items. So work item is used to create the work items and access the list of work items based on the specific criteria, like those work items assigned to you, or those work items you are following, or those work items you have been updated recently. So you can see this drop down menu. There is a lot of options is available, like a bug, epic, feature, task, test case, etc. Now for the demo, I'm going to create a epic. Create a epic. Enter the name is shopping cart. For example, I'm giving this name, and here it is contains the many fields like assigned and description, acceptance criteria, start date, target date, and here also you can able to add the discussion for the work items. So you can mention that work items and you can ask the person the status. So all those things you can maintain at the Azure boards itself. So I'm not going to enter all those details for this demo. Just click on the save. So when we click on the save, there is a work item has been created under the category of Epic. So you can see this work item. Now I'm going to create one more Epic and give the title name is purchase and leave same settings as it is and click on the save. So go back to the work items and you can see that two work items is available being created. So this is about the work item. So you can create n number of you can create the features. So you can add this as a feature one, name it as feature one and save and go back to the work items. So you can see the feature and you can able to create the task and name it as, for example, task one and save. Remember that all those tasks or epics or features, whatever we have created, it is taking under the sprint one. So go back to this and you can see that different tasks, features and the epics has been created. And the second option is boards. So under the boards, you can able to see the epics, you can able to see the features and you can able to see the backlogs. So we did not create any backlogs, so we'll not have any. So now we can able to see that these items is available under the epics. So main advantage of these boards is you no need to go inside of the application to update the status of this card. You just select this particular card and drag and drop to the particular status, so the state will be changed automatically. So you can able to do these cards drag and drop to the different status. And one more advantage here is you can able to create the features. For example, I want to add the feature. For example, this I will call as a feature 3. And here under this I can able to add this new, go to the features and feature 3 I can able to add the new tasks. So you can able to add the bug, you can able to add the test, or you can go inside that. See here there is one more option is add link. So here you will get the two options, add the existing item, add the new item. For example, I select the item type is task and I will create this as a task 2. Okay. So under feature under feature 3 there is one child being added. What is that? It is task 2 and the feature 3 is a child for purchase, the epic. So go back to the epics and you can see that how many features being tied to this. So there is a feature 3 is contained. Now I am going to shopping cart and add the existing item. You can see that it will list out all the existing items available under the backlogs. So you can choose the, for example, feature 1 I'm going to add the child for shopping cart, this epic. So this is child and get saved. So like the way you can able to add the new features or new tasks or bugs or tests you can able to add. So the difference between the work items and boards is in the work items it is displaying all the items as list. Here in the boards it is showing as a cards and those cards state you can able to update just drag and drop. That's it. And one more features available under these boards is, for example, assume that I want to give this as a critical. So I'll give that as a critical and save. Why this color is changed? Because of here in the styles I have been created, might be I have created in the previous demo. I'll remove this and do from that. So I will treat this as a critical. I was given a tag as critical. So all the critical items I want to display as a red card. So how I can do that is styles, add a styling color and name. This rule is for sake of understanding. I will give name as a critical and the color will be red, and the clause. So rule criteria, and what criteria you need to show this color. Might be I'm choosing this is tags, and the value is critical. When the tag value is critical, I want to show this as red color. And this purchase I will treat it as tag is medium, save and close. So now you can able to see, I want to see this as a orange color. So what you can do is styles, add new style, give the namesake like a medium and give orange and add the new clause is tags and the value equal to medium. That's it. And here I can see that the tags color I can able to apply as well. For example, might be think that I don't want to use these styles. Just uncheck those and save. It will be normal. I want to filter my cards using the tag colors. So how I can get, for example, critical, I want to show the red color. So how you can show is tag color and add critical and show this as a red color. So tag color is changed automatically. Now I want to change this medium as orange. So go to the tag color and add the new tag and give the select the tag and save. So it will change automatically the tag color. So the main advantages using the boards is you can able to create the work items and you can easily drag and drop those work items to update their status, as well as you can able to categorize the work items by using the tag colors. You can apply various conditions also. For this scenario, I have chosen the tag color. And the next option is backlogs. So these backlogs will be used to view, plan, order, and organize the work items, including the product backlog to represent your project plan and portfolio backlog to group work under the features and the epics. So now you might be noticed that when I switch to the backlog, you can able to see the all the work items in a hierarchy manner, meaning this is the parent and this is child and this is the child for this feature. So you can see, but when you go to the work items, you may not find which is having a child, which is the parent for that child. You cannot able to understand. But when you go to the backlogs, you can the all the items is showing in a hierarchy manner. So the main purpose of backlogs is the backlog will show the tasks are pending which are not assigned to anyone. So we can attach those tasks to the sprint. So you can attach those tasks to the sprint for the planning efforts. And next we talk about So for example, you can able to add, for example, you if you have any new work items, you can able to create those work items. For example, I want to create the feature, and here itself you can able to create the feature 4. That's it. Under this feature you can able to add the new task. Go to the new task and give as task 4. So whatever you are doing under boards and work items, you can able to do the under backlogs, as well as you can able to do planning the iteration as well. You can see here there is the 3 tasks being added under the sprint. For example, if you go to the feature 4 and change this as sprint 1 to sprint 2 and save. So the task 4 has been moved to the sprint. So you can able to plan the efforts, meaning you have lot of features for that particular product or the project. So how many sprints you want to deliver these work items or features available under that product, you can able to plan the efforts here. So we can use these backlogs to drag the number of works to be delivered under that particular sprint. You can able to plan here. And next very important thing is sprints. Under these sprints you can able to see the task board and capacity. So this capacity will give you the resource capacity planning. So for example, I don't have any users here. If you have lot of team members here, like 7 members, 8 members, you can add for development 8 hours. So this DTKSS has spending 8 hours for development. And you add some more users like Michael or someone, you added that user and he's for development 8 hours. And like the way you can add the number of users and you can plan the resource capacity. And here you can put the day off also. For example, if particular uh, period, if they are not going to work or they are taking leave, you can put that day off. So if you put that day off, then it will not show because there is no capacity to plan. So I will just take out this and click OK. Now you can able to see that what is the work activity and number of hours is been available. So what I can able to do here is I have saved here. So this particular developer can spend 8 hours per a day for the development. So go back to the tasks. Under the task 1, what I can able to do is, might be it will take 20 hours to finish this. See, automatically team capacity, how many hours is left? Still 20 hours is left to work on it. So this particular user D2K can spend 40 hours per week, 5 days working. So you already assigned one task to him 20 hours. So rest is 20 hours is there. Then go back to here. You can add the time remaining might be 15 hours and save. So he has left only 5 hours. So now here you can able to add the new items like a task 4, and this particular item you can spend 5 hours. That's it. You finish. Suppose if you add one more item and name it as task 5 and go back to that, you put 10 hours. So it is already crossed what he has the capacity, what works we have been assigned, it been crossed already. So like the way we can able to plan the capacity for the team and how many items we can deliver with that sprint, we can able to do using the sprint. So when you add, what you have to do like this, if there is a multiple task being to be delivered with this sprint, what you have to do is you need to increase the capacity. You need to add the new developers here to get the work to be done with this sprint. Like the way you have to do. And next, queries. Under queries, you can able to create new query. And here you can able to maintain a state equal to, you can choose any state like in progress and save the query and name it as in progress work list. That's it. So it will be available to you and you can see the result. So there is no items available here in progress. So now go back to the work item and change this particular task 5 to state to in progress and save. Go back to the queries and in progress. You can see this work item is in progress. So why? Because of our condition is I want to see only in progress tasks. So I put the state equal to in progress. So where that state is matched, all those items will be listed here. So go back to the work items and change this feature for state to in progress and go back to the queries and select your query. See, feature 4 also been listed. Why? Because of state is changed to in progress. So that's all about the Azure boards. Thank you. Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In the current video session, we are going to discuss about the Azure Repos. Azure Repos is a version control will be used to save your work and coordinate the code changes across the team. That is, in the team might be have different of the developers handle different of the components. When multiple team members is working in the same project files, then the team may require that they need to have a feasibility to check what code changes the developers has committed, like who has committed those changes, and they have a feasibility to revert the changes. For example, due to any issue, the code changes is impacting the existing functionality, so they have to revert those code changes and has to fix that issues and re-implement those changes. And one more thing is sometimes we may require to maintain the different branches. For example, there is a production issue which to be delivered as early as possible. But in the same way, there is a parallel multiple features being developing, new features being adding to the product. So these production bugs or the features cannot be delivered at the same time. We cannot wait until the features is implemented. That bug we cannot wait until the time. So that's the reason we need to maintain the different branches to commit those changes as a bugs or commit those changes as a features. So they have a set of delivered time to deliver those items. So repos, all to address all those issues, the repos will help to commit your add your files, commit changes, push the files to the repository and get the files from the repository, etc. So now I'll show that how you can create a clone of this repository in your local. Either you can use this endpoint like URL to create the clone for this particular repository, or you can able to use this application like the VS Code tool to create the repository. So I'll show both processes. So first I'm going to show using the clone using the VS Code. So here you will have the multiple tools is available. You can choose the tool which is applicable to you. For the demo purpose, I'm choosing VS Code. Just click on the VS Code. It will prompt you to open the VS Code. So the file being opened. So it is telling that allow the extension to open the URL. So click on open. It will ask you which location you want to save that repository. So then I'll go to Azure Repos and training, and I'll create new folder is web 3 repository and select that repository destination. That's it. So open in a new window. You can see that the web application 3 don't have any files. So it is an empty repository. So you can go to the folder and check over there and go to the training folder and web 3. Inside that you can find the web application 3 git repository. So repository has created for us. When you are login first time, for example, if this git credentials, so this git will have a credentials. If this git credentials is not stored into your machine, then it will prompt you to enter those credentials. So since I already done many times, it was not prompted me to enter those credentials. So other way is you download this git tool. So you can install this git tool. Just click on the download. So it will download you. So it is 32-bit or 64-bit. So the git tool has been downloaded. Since I already installed here, you can able to see that git bash cmd ui. So 3 types of components will be available under that particular tool. So you can use either one. So for now, I'm going to use the git bash. Very popular. So now I'll create git bash repo. So I want to differentiate how we created this repository. So I created a folder is git bash repo and right click over there, get more options. When you install this git, you will get that 3 options. Git UI. So git UI is you can able to do with the UI prompt. So you can create new repository or clone the existing repository. Just give the source location and the destination location and clone it. And one more way is git bash. So this will be a command prompt, so which you can able to clone those files. So what is the command you can use is git clone, and what you have to do is you just copy that URL what is available, the repository URL, and I have copied here and just dragging to make clear and paste it. That's all. So when you click enter, the cloning is started. So if you are doing first time, then you will prompt to enter the credentials. So you need to enter those credentials to clone this repository. Second thing here, once you clone, you can go back to the folder and see same repository is cloned to this git bash, and the first we use the VS code to get the clone of this web application 3. Maybe I'll change this folder as VS code repo. Since this is open, it was not allowing me to modify. I'll just close it. That's it. Okay, now we will use this git repo. So I'm increasing some font size. Okay, fine. So now we have cloned those files here. Now what we have to do is, under this repository I want to add some solution. So for that I'm going to use this command prompt in administrator mode, and here I'm going to inside this path, so taking directory of that path. So now we are inside the empty repository web application C. Either you can able to do from here or you can able to do both, will be safe. So now what we are going to do is we are going to create the web app. So either you can able to use this Visual Studio to create that, or you can use the command prompt to create the web application using the .NET. So .NET new web app, and I will give the name is Azure DevOps demo. So application been created. Now you run that application whether it is running successfully or not. Okay, got it. So we need to go inside that. So Azure DevOps demo. Now you run that command .NET run. So now application started building, and once build is completed, the application will be up. So first time when you are doing run, it will take a while. So copy this endpoint, open the window. That's it. Application is up and running successfully. So now what we need to do is, for demo, I want to, whatever the files has been created in this VS Code repo under this web application 3 repository, I want to commit these changes to the repository, to the web application 3 repository. So for that what we are going to do is, I'm going to open a git bash from here, git bash, and I'm going to change this 14, it is fine actually. So now what we are going to do is git initialization. So first we need to initialize, and then we need to add those files. So whatever the files under this folder, we want to commit those changes. So under web application 3, I want to commit those changes. So first step is you need to add all those files, git add. So files are all been added. Then we want to commit those files. So next step is git commit -m, and give the comment is initial commit. So since this is my first commit, I'm giving this as initial commit. So all those files been committed. You can see here what I have executed. The command is git commit -m the comment. So what is the comment we so this is for tracking. So always it is recommended to give a meaningful comment when you are doing a code changes. And then what we have to do is you have to push these changes. So now we committed, and we go and check here whether the files has came to here. No, Still it is empty repository, no files been found here. What we have to do, the files to be appear here, what we have to do? We have to push these files to the master. So git push origin master. So now once this push completed and refresh page, see whatever we committed into this folder Azure DevOps demo, that particular solution will appear in the web application 3 repository. So what we did, I'm recollecting all those steps which we have performed to push those files into the repositories. First we initialize the git into the web application 3. Then under that web application 3, whatever the files been available, we added into the git. So what the command have been executed here is git add dot. Once the files been added to the repo, we will commit those changes using the git command, git commit -m, and this is a comment. I will show you how this comment will appear in the Azure DevOps. Then once we commit that, we need to still these code changes in local only. It was not moved to the repository. What we have to do is we need to push that changes to the master. So where is the master is? So this is the master repository, like a master repo. So the branch when we created by default, it is a master repository. So then what we did is git push origin is master. So we push to the master all those code changes. So now the changes came and you can see these commits is just now I have been committed these changes. Initial commit. So the where I have given a comment, you can see here git commit initial commit. So this is the how I have committed that changes. And you can see that what files I have been added. When you click on that commit, whatever the commits we have made it, just click on that, you can see what are all the files, what is the code changes, etc. items and pushes. So this is the changes we have pushed to the repository. And if you go branches, only master is there. We did not create any new branches. And I will talk about this pull request little while. So these are all the files. When you push to the repository, you can able to see the files, whatever here it is there, you can able to see those files here. So this is how you can able to push those files. So now I want to pull this data, pull these files, whatever the files I have been pushed to here, I want to pull into my local again. How I can do is, for example, where we committed these changes is under VS Code repo. So these files we added into this repository, but git bash still it is showing empty. So I want to sync up. Just imagine that this folder, for example, these two folders is available in different machines. So I am the person as a developer, I committed these changes. So this is my colleague's machine folder, which he has to sync up the changes what I have committed to the repository. How he can do is just right click on it, go to the git bash, and here you can execute a command is git pull. That's it. It will pull all those changes to local. So whatever the files we have been committed here is already pushed to, pull to the our local file. So that's how when multiple team members is working. So just treat these two folders as two different machines. These two folders has two different machines. Then first I committed these code changes into this particular folder and I pushed the changes into the repository under the DevOps. Then the second step is might be it is for the different developer. Git bash is using by different developer. He has pulled the changes just using the command is git pull. So he can able to get those changes. So that is how you can able to do that when you want to pull those changes. Hi, welcome to DTKSS. This is a continuation session for Azure Repos. In our previous video session, we have discussed about creating a repository and adding the local files to the repository and commit those changes and push those local code into the repository. And then also we performed that pull the code changes from the repository to local to sync up with the repository code changes. In this current video session, what we are going to discuss is working on the multiple branches. There might be a scenario you cannot work on the master branch because the master branch will be the final branch which you need to use to deploy the code changes. So there might be a development branch or there might be a bug fixes branch, there might be a feature development branches. So you will have a lot of branches to work on the different code changes. Once those code changes has been tested successfully in the other like SIT and the UAT environments, then you will merge the code changes to the master. Then you will build the code changes available under master, and all the changes available in the master you will deploy into the whatever the resources you want to deploy. So for that reason we need to work on the multiple branches. So how you can able to create the multiple branch? So when you go to the branches under repos, you will have the button called new branch. So you can give the name is feature 10 11 20 23. And based on what basis we are creating this branch. So I'm just basing on this master code. Whatever the code is available in the master, I'm going to clone on that. Then here this option is you can link any feature. For example, you are going to work on this feature. You can link that feature. So it will be know what kind of tasks you are working on that feature. You will be able to link that things. For now, I'm not going to link those feature or tasks under this branch. Just click on the create. So now the feature branch been created. So whatever the code available, it is just clone of the master. Whatever the master we have, we just clone into the feature branch. Now I want to clone these code changes to my local. Then I want to work on it, and I want after the changes is implemented, I want to push those changes to the repository. So first thing is what we have to do is we need to clone those changes. So open the git bash, and here you can see that git clone, and we need to give the branch, and what is our branch is feature underscore 10 11 20 23, and the URL what we have copied here, just copy paste it. Now the clone is started, and whatever the files available under this repository, we are downloading those things into the local path. So once we download it to the local path, you can see that all the items being downloaded. Now you open this Azure DevOps demo solution. Then I'm not going to do any big changes, like I'm not going to implement any new code changes or features. Just I will modify something in the pages index.html. So I will change this as Azure DevOps demo working on multiple branches. That's it. So run this application whether it is working fine or not. So application is up and you can see that the changes what we have added the text in index.cshtml being reflected here. You can see Azure DevOps demo working on multiple branches. So what I will do here is I'll just take out all this in code except para. So we run one more time. So we have to display only this text Azure DevOps demo working with multiple branches. So this code changes I want to push to the repository. So for that what I have to do is I have to go to the git bash and you can write like git add dot. So dot indicates it will add all the files which require to add to the repository. Okay, we need to go inside that cd web application 3. You can open the folder Azure DevOps training feature application 3. So here the git is existed. So what you have to do is cd web application 3, go to here directly open the git bash. Sometimes when you have a typo on the path you cannot find that path, so I have opened the git bash. Now what you have to do is you have to add the file git dot, so added already, git commit -m added text to index.html file. So that is our comment which we have to display there. Then git push, so we have to push that changes to repository. So how we have to push is origin. So what is our branch name is feature underscore 10/11/2023. So code changes has been pushed to the repository. Now we can go back to open the DevOps. Open the application 3 and repos and commits. You can see that added a text to the index file, index.html file. Just now we have committed. And you can click on that comment and you can able to see what files you have committed to that particular commit. So what is the file we have been modified here is only index.cshtml, that we have removed this line of code and we have added this code. That's it. So now I want to merge this change, whatever the branch change I have created under the feature 10/11/2023. I want to merge that changes to the master. So what I have to do is, so there is two branches, one is feature, one is master. So we thought of to work with this master. When all the testing is completed, all the final code will push to the master to deploy into the virtual machine or any other like a Kubernetes, whatever it may be. So create the pull request. So you have to merge that request. So what it is, the request you need to merge is adding text to the index. So that is the text already came. So from where to where is from this branch, like a feature branch to master, I'm going to merge the changes, and you can put the reviewer also. So since there is no multiple users, I'm adding myself as a reviewer, and then create. You can see the commit, what is the files you have committed, you can able to see and create. So when there is a multiple users, so they will get a notification that required to approve and complete the merge. So they will verify what files we have changes and what commits we have made, and they will click on the approve the changes. Once you approve, then you need to complete the merging. So here you will have the lot of options like complete the associated work items. So I have told that you can link the work items and delete this branch, this feature after merging, or customize the merge commit messages. So all those things I don't bother for this for now. Just complete on the merge. So now whatever we merge the code changes, when you go to the master and the commits, you can see that we have merged this change just now, a pull request, and who authored, who committed, who pushed the changes, all by the same ID. By real time you will have the multiple users. So who is the parent? So feature will be the parent, and the merge request has been raised, etc. So in this video session what we have covered is creating a branches and working on that branch, and once the testing is completed, we can able to pull we can able to merge those changes using the pull request. That's it. Thank you. Hi, welcome to TTKSS. The current session we are going to discuss about Azure pipelines. So what is the Azure pipelines? The Microsoft Azure pipelines is a cloud service we can use to automate the build, test and deploy the code. So these Azure pipelines are independent to any language and the project type. So you can configure different project types and different programming languages. So Azure Pipeline supports the continuous integration pipeline, continuous deployment pipeline, and the continuous testing pipeline to build, to deploy and test your code to any destination. So what is the workflow? How it will work? For example, when you created a solution and you'll edit your code, once your edit is completed, then you will push your code into the repository. Once this code is pushed to the repository, this particular code will be input to this continuous integration. So continuous integration means build pipeline. So we will take this as an input. So whatever the code is pushed to from local to repository, we'll take this as an input for this continuous integration step, and we'll build the project and generate the output, that is called artifact. So this output package will be input to the continuous deployment. So the output package will be picked by the continuous deployment pipeline, that is the release pipeline, and push that code changes into the target machine. I'm repeating again. Any developer will create a solution into the local machine, and he will implement whatever the changes he want to implement, and he will test. Everything is fine, working fine, he will start pushing the changes into the repository, that is GitHub or TFS, whatever it may be. So now once we push into the repository, what we are going to do here is, there is a first step is continuous integration, meaning continuous integration means build pipeline. So we'll take this particular code and do the build the code, and if there is no errors, if there is any errors, then error will be reported back to the developer to fix that errors. So again he will go back to the local and he will fix that error and push to the repository. If there is no error, then output will be generated here. So the output package, once it is generated, then that will be input to the continuous deployment. So that is for the release pipeline. This release pipeline will take this artifact and push that code changes into the target machine. So all these steps you can automate. You no need to manual interruption. You can no need it is not required anymore. You can automate. But here in the continuous deployment, there is a feature that the release manager can review the what is the output package has generated in the artifact, and if everything is fine, he can approve that package to deploy into the target machine. Until that target the release manager approve, this particular action will be pending. So you can do in your two ways, like you no need to configure any approval. So that means once this code changes is pushed to the artifact, then deployment automatically starts and push the changes into target machine. So that means no manual intervention. The continuous integration build the code and generate the artifact, and the continuous deployment will take that artifact and push into the target machine. But one disadvantage in this approach is, if anything, the features which is not implemented as expected, then the system will the end users will get affected. That's the reason the continuous deployment always reviewed by release manager. Once he approve, the code changes will push into the target machine. So we can able to secure whatever the code has been pushing to the target machines. We can review that and we can push into the target machines. So what is the advantage of using Azure pipelines? The Azure pipelines provide a quick, easy, safe way to automate the building of projects with an output of consistent and quality of code that readily available to the users. So Azure pipelines will be helpful in the following scenarios: is works with any project or any language or the platform, deploy different types of target machines at same time, so you can deploy to the multiple machines. So how it will be is, for example, in your production environment, you have might be for the application tier there is a 5 virtual machines is configured, like a second primary and secondary configurations. You have configured 5 virtual machines. So what will happen? You can deploy all the code changes, whatever the package is released in the artifact. You can push those changes to the all those 5 virtual machines at same time using the deployment groups. I will talk about deployment group in the while. So how it will help is, you have a lot of machines. When you go to the bigger organizations, the larger scale of the projects, there will be a lot of servers will be there which we need to deploy the applications into multiple machines. It's same version of the package. So if you are spending time to deploy each one machine at a time, then it will take lot of days to deploy to complete the deployment all the machines. So what we have to do now? So what we have to do is, we have to create a group, and in that particular group, whatever the virtual machines or Kubernetes, like anything which we added, we just push that code at same time. So all the deployment to the machines will complete at same time. So there is no manual dependency. Just the person who has released, then this pipeline will push to the whatever the configured machines will push the code to the that particular machines. And one more advantage is, builds on the Windows or Linux or Mac machines and integrated with GitHub, work on the open source projects. So these are all the advantages. So the steps is, for example, these steps might be helpful if you don't create any code into the repos. So in our previous sessions, we already performed these steps to create the .NET application in your local laptop or local machine, and those codes to push into the Git. Once you push into the Git, it will appear at the Azure repos, which we have integrated with the GitHub. Once the codes has pushed to the GitHub, you can able to access those codes from the Azure pipeline. So now the step what we have to perform is login into the Azure DevOps, click on the pipeline, and click on the new pipeline. So here it will list the all the different types of repository version controls like Azure GitHub, Bitbucket Cloud, GitHub Enterprise Server, other Git, super version. So for our demo, I'm going to choose either you can choose this template or you can go to the classic editor. So this is a different view. So you can choose Azure Repo Git, and you can choose Azure Web Application 3, and either you can choose to build feature or master. I'm going to choose master, continue. See here you can generate from the scratch or you can use the existing templates. So these are all the built-in templates. So just click on apply, which contains the 4 steps, like one is restore, build, test, publish artifact. So you have to specify the agent. Might be you can choose Ubuntu is the server configurations, and here I don't have any test for my scenario. I can keep it or I can delete from here. So once you select it, you can able to delete that particular step which is not required. We can able to delete that particular step. So now I will just save this. So I don't want to modify anything which is defaultly generated. Save and queue. So you have to give like build pipeline and save and run. So the job is queued, but you can see here there is error being erased occurred here when you start the build. This error has occurred. What is that? No hosted parallelism has been purchased or granted. So to request a free parallelism grant, please fill out following form. What is this? I have discussed about this in our previous video sessions that there is a parallel jobs will be there. For Microsoft hosted projects, there is zero parallel jobs is there. So meaning to run those multiple steps, the Azure DevOps should allow a parallel jobs to select those steps to run the jobs continuously. So what jobs been available or involved in this particular configuration is, go to the Azure pipeline and see here, edit the pipeline. This is one step. So restore the .NET dependencies one step. So when build started, it will start executing this step. Once it is finished, it will start build, and then it will execute test, it will publish, and that particular output publish into the artifact. So why we are getting this error is we don't have any parallel jobs, means permissions has been granted by Azure DevOps by default for the Microsoft hosted. for the private and public projects is 0. That's the reason we are getting this error. So already the Microsoft DevOps teams has gave instructions what we have to do when we need to execute this pipeline. What we have to do here is we need to copy the link and fill the form and submit the form. So the DevOps team will review that request and will grant you the permission. So I'm going to give my name is D2K Software Solutions. So I'll give this as D2K SS and D2K Software Solutions at gmail.com, and name of this organization, how you can get this organization name. So this is the organization name, so you can copy this. So it is same as my email, and might be you need one parallel job for private job, and you can submit one more for the public projects. So again you type d2kss at gmail.com and type d2kss software solutions. So that is my organization name, and select public and provide the list of link public repositories you plan to build. So if this particular project is public, you can give that repository to there, and we will grant public project concurrently only validated open source projects. Otherwise you should start private project concurrency. Provide an explanation to test private public projects CI and CD pipeline testing. So I'm submitting, this is the reason, and you will get a response from them after certain hours to allowing the parallel jobs. So that's all in this session. Once this problem has solved, now we'll enhance this build pipeline to further level. Thank you. Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In the current video session, we are going to look how to create the build pipelines using the classic pipelines and the YAML pipelines. So I'll talk about what is the differences between when we are creating pipelines, Azure pipelines using classic editor or YAML file editor. So now what we have to do, I'll switch to the Azure DevOps. So here, when you log into the Azure DevOps, you can see the under pipelines, you can see a pipeline. Click on it. Then you go to click on the create pipeline. So these new pipelines, whatever you are seeing here is YAML pipeline. So Microsoft is prefer to go with this pipeline, and one is use classic editor. What is this classic editor? Is creating a pipeline without the YAML. So whenever you want to change anything, you need to come log into the Azure DevOps, then you need to change in the classic editor. But in the YAML, you can modify as a code and you can push into the repository and you can apply the changes into the pipeline directly. So in this example, I'll show you how we can able to create classic editor using classic editor. So you need to choose the source code repository, either GitHub or Subversion or Bitbucket Cloud or other Git, whatever it may be. So for in this demo, I'm choosing Azure Repo Git, and I have chosen the project. It is available Web Application 3, and repository is Web Application 3. And here you can able to choose whatever the branches is available, which branch you want to build the pipeline. You can choose that. I'm just keeping master and click on the continue button. See here, if you choose this YAML, so this is empty template, so that is preferred. Looking for a better experience to configure your pipelines using the YAML files. So try the new YAML pipelines creation of experience. So this I will show you later session, but now I'm going to choose a UI built-in UI template. So what it is, I'm going to choose. There is multiple templates is there, not only .NET. You can build at Android applications, or you can build the Docker container, Maven, Python. So there is a lot of Azure functions, whatever it may be. There is a lot of things is there. So for this demo, I'm going to choose ASP.NET Core pipeline. So when you click apply, you will get the 5 steps by default. One is restore, build, test, publish, and publish to artifact, build artifact. So here you can able to add the multiple tasks. When you click plus, you can able to add whatever continuation steps is required. You can able to add. But for now, what we are going to explore here is what these tasks is going to do. The restore will help to restore the .NET dependencies to help to build the project. So when you build the project in your local, you can see a step that .NET restore. First step is it will restore all the dependencies, the framework dependencies. Then it will build the project. So other step is test. But actually in this demo, we are not going to use this step anymore. Then publish. So publish the code into the output. Then that particular code push into the artifactory. So this is the artifactory part. So this is about the tasks. It contains the 5 tasks when you added the ASP.NET Core. You can extend whatever, however you want, like you want to extend the multiple tasks you can add. And here there is the build configuration. So you can change this as a debug, whatever it may be you want to change, you can change. So I'm just keeping as release. And triggers. So how you want to trigger these pipelines? So if you don't select this enable continuous integration, when there is a code change, you need to come to the pipeline and you need to build manually. It will not continuously, when you make changes, it will not pick that particular changes and it will not build the project. So to build the project changes continuously, you can click on enable this continuous integration. And also here there is schedule, so you can add what time this particular build has to start, etc. You can able to add. So I'm not going to schedule that for now, but if anyone need, you can able to add that schedule as well. And here the options, here is the project configuration options. What is the project, the repository path, etc., and build pipeline path, etc. And this is the history, who created and change type and change date, comment, etc. So here you need to specify the minimum data. Rest of all, when you create the apply the template, all those values are filled by the template itself. You need to provide the minimum changes. So what is the agent specification? You can specify Mac OS or Ubuntu or Windows. Anything you can specify the agent. So for this example, I am taking the Ubuntu latest. So that's all about the different options. So if you go in depth, there will be a lot of options you need to change here. So this is just starting demo. I'm not going in detail. I'm showing in high level how we can able to create a build pipeline using the Classic editor. So here, when you finish changes, configuration is completed, here you will get two options, save and queue. So when you click on save and queue, it will ask to save the comment. So I'm going to give the Classic editor pipeline. Save and run. So once you finish that, you can see that a job is created and job is queued. So this will execute when there is an agent is available. This job will start running. So whatever the task you have been added here in the build pipeline, it will run automatically. So you can see here, check out the master, restore the dependencies and build the project. So this is nothing. So we don't have any test unit test, etc. So it is not going to do anything. And publish to artifact. So artifact is Azure pipeline folder. So go back to here and you can see once job is completed here, one published, one consumed, and you can see here the artifact. So when you click on the artifact, you can see drop and zip file. So in this zip file, what data will be there? So this is the output when you build the project. This is the output files, whatever it be there. So you can go here and open the, you can see www root, whatever the files is there, etc. So this is what we want to deploy into the server. So this is the files what we want to deploy into the server. So this is the output. So this is the how you can able to generate or complete the build using the Classic editor. And second one is creating a build pipeline. So when you create the Classic editor, this whatever the configuration you have made, it will not goes into the repository. You cannot find anywhere in the repository. So when you want to make changes into this build pipeline, definitely you need to come to the Azure DevOps. You need to log in into the Azure DevOps. Then you need to modify manually. So you just click on edit. So you can modify those things whatever you want to make. But in real cases, when you go working on any projects, in general, you will not get access to these Azure pipelines. You cannot modify directly this. Why? Because of, since there is a lot of people, developers is working on that. If in case by mistake, if any of the configurations has been deleted, you cannot restore using the classic editor. So it is very difficult to track who made, and reversion of the changes using the Classic editor is very difficult. You cannot make it that easily. So what will be in real situation is, it is very much encouraged to go with the YAML configurations. When you create a YAML pipeline, that YAML pipeline will be created into this Git repository. So you can access that YAML file from local, and you can do the task configurations and you can modify it. But really when we talk this build pipeline creating using the Classic editor, this is the admin job. Only admins generally only admins they will give to access these repos. Pipelines will be accessed by the admins only. Developers really they won't access the pipelines. They can write their code into the YAML and they can get review with the supervisors or team leads and push into the repo. Once you push that changes, whatever the changes you made to the YAML, it will apply to that build pipeline, and the changes will be the build pipeline work on based on the changes you made in the YAML pipeline. So now we talk about how we can able to create a pipeline using YAML. So click on new YAML pipeline. So first screen what we got. So Azure Get Repo. So select on it and select the repository. Extend that. See here also you can see whatever in Classic Editor you have seen here. You also see the whatever all the templates is available to create the build pipeline. So same way I'm choosing this ASP.NET Core YAML pipeline. Then it is creating under Web Application 3 repo, it is creating a YAML file called Azure Pipelines. So this is the default code it has been generated. So you can extend this particular code how you want. No matter when you want to work on this YAML pipeline configuration, you should have the programming experience. So that is one drawback, who is not having programming experience, they cannot modify this YAML. But when you go to this Classic editor, they can able to understand what they are doing because it's a layman. So this step they can able to understand what it is going to do, what it is going to do. When they want to add a new task, they can add new task. So archive the files, etc., they can add. So nothing complex here, but less flexibility, like code review, code reversion, all those things. It is very difficult using the Classic editor. But when you go to this YAML, the main advantage is you have full control. You can add the task into the YAML where you want to build the project, and lot of features. So as per Microsoft, they prefer to go with this new pipeline. So might be they will deprecate this version very soon. So Azure, I will choose Azure Repo Gate, Publication 3, show more, and go to ASP.NET Core. So this is the default YAML file being generated. In the next video session, I will show you how we can able to extend whatever the steps is created in the default Azure Pipelines YAML. I will show how we can able to extend these steps. Like what we have to configure here is same step what we have performed in the Classic, like restore the dependencies, build the project, and publish the project and push into the artifact. So these 5 steps we'll write, and also in the next video sessions I will show you up how we can configure the variables, and we can make it as configurations at the central location, how to create the templates, etc. Thank you. Hi, welcome to DT Cases. In the current video session, we are going to discuss about creating build pipeline using YAML configuration. So to create that, first you need to log in into the DevOps, then go to the pipelines. Under the pipelines, you can see button called new pipeline. Click on it, and you can see the repository, different types of repository products, and you can select one. For the demo, I'm choosing Azure Repo Kit, and you can able to choose what is the project type. So, and after choose the repository, and then you can able to select the template to build your project. So here it will support lot of project templates. It will support Python, it will support React, Node, and Java, etc. So now I'm choosing, since our project type is .NET Core, I'm choosing the template is ASP.NET Core. So here what we need to do here is we choose this, then the default YAML configuration is generated to build the project. So one is trigger. So trigger on what branch? So it is saying the branch is master, and the agent pool is Ubuntu, and variables is build configuration. So in this demo, we are not using this variable. I will show in the next demo how we can use these variables in the next entire steps to make a common configurations. So here this is the default script has been generated. this will help to build the configurations. Whatever the configurations is there, that particular project it will use .NET build. So it will build the project. So this is the name of that build. So I'm just removing these default steps. Here what I want to implement here is I want to implement the 5 steps. One is mapping .NET SDK, restore the dependencies, build the code, publish, build, artifact. So first step what we have to do here is we need to map the .NET SDK version to 7.0. So for that what we need to do is we need to configure a task. So I'm just copying the already pre-built the code. So in this task what we are doing here is we are declaring the task. So based on this task it will specify that acquires a specific version of .NET SDK from internet or local cache and adds it to the path. Use this task to change the version of .NET Core used subsequent task. So this particular task is meant for that purpose, and for that task what is the input parameters is package type is SDK and the version is 7.x. You can here you can mention 6 or 7 whatever it may be. So for the demo I'm using the .NET version 7. Then once we map this .NET SDK version, we need to restore the dependencies. So when you want to build the project, the framework dependencies you need to restore first. So for that what you have to do here is you need to add this particular task. So what this task is meant is build, test the package or publish the .NET application or run the custom .NET command. So basically here what we are using to run the particular command. So this particular task command we use for to map the SDK version. This particular task command we are using to map or run the particular command. So meaning here you can see that the command inputs which I am passing is 2 commands. One is the project path I am passing. So this is the current path, and the command is restore. So restore the Azure Task Assistant can understand based on this task is that in this particular task they are going to run the custom .NET command. So it will look for the command where the command is there. So it will restore is the command. So then it will restore all the .NET project dependencies, and it will next step is we need to build this project. So very careful, if this command change like this, the build pipeline will fade. So it will be syntax very careful. And then we have to build the project. So to build the project we need to add the task is same, this particular step you can repeat actually, and here the display name you can change as build the project. Same step what we have performed above in the restore, but here in the command we are passing that as a build, and project is .cs project. So in this step what we have passed the command is restore. In this step what we pass the command is build. So that is only the difference. So same agent, same command is going to perform both steps. Then we will save this and we'll verify whether it is working or not. Save and configure this commit messages YAML build pipeline. Commit and save and run. So when you commit, the job is created and which is in queue. So once the agent available, it will run the job. So initializing the job, and using .NET. So what we have configured the steps, it is performing all those steps. Check out the web application master to and use .NET SDK version and restore the project dependencies. So it is restoring the runtime dependencies, project dependencies, and then it is starting build the project. So this will take some time, and once it finish, the job is completed. Until that, what we have achieved is we have built the project, but we don't have any artifacts, no output is generated. So for that, what we have to do is we need to publish the project and we need to generate that output. So what you have to do, edit the pipeline. In the edit pipeline, the two steps we want to implement. So the publish project, same, but difference is we are adding the publish the project and command here is publish. Here what we have used build. So to build we have used that, and the project same input we have passed, and publish web projects is false, and the arguments we are passing is no build configuration release, and we are giving the output path. We are giving the output path. And then final step is once this publish code is successful, then this particular code we have to push into the artifact folder. So for that you need to configure a task publish build artifact. What it's going to do is publish build artifact to the Azure pipelines or the Windows file share. So what this is going to do, this is running the command custom .NET command. So in this example, what we have achieved is 5 steps we have been configured here. What are all those 5 steps are? I'll try to zoom it. Okay. So first step is mapping .NET SDK version, and then first step is mapping .NET SDK version and then restore the dependencies. So the key thing is what command you are passing in the task and what input parameters you are passing. So here you must need to use .NET at 2 that command to map the SDK. So you can pass the input parameters. Then you need to pass .NET Core CLI at 2 to run a custom .NET command. What is the .NET command we are passing here is restore, and then next the same command we are using, but we are passing the other command is build. So same task we are using, but we are passing the input parameter command is build, and the project path is, so this is the .cs project, where in this particular path whatever the repository we configured, in that particular path where the cs project is there, so that is the project we need to build and then publish that. So here what we are passing is same task we are using, but the command is publish, and arguments we are passing is no build configuration release, and output this is the artifact directory and release. And once this path is generated, we are pushing into the artifact. So what is the command is here? Publish build artifact at 1. So based on these tasks only, Azure Task Assistant can understand what is meant for these steps is required. So just save and updating ML and save and run it. So when you run, the job is queued, and here the job is started. Since we have only one parallel agent is there, it will take little time to build the project. I'll will wait a while until the finish the project build. So build is completing, so we'll wait while. So there is a error, publish the project. So when it is publishing, we have encounter error. So go back to the pipeline. So in the build, there is a error. When the .NET is building, the .NET application is building, the error been occurred. So we go back to the pipeline and edit the pipeline. Here in the build one, we are missing the argument. So on what basis we have to build this project? Like we have to pass either release or something. We need to pass the arguments. So I'll bring that step and we'll run one more time. So argument, no restore, configuration is release and save. Commit and go back to the pipeline. So build is started, job is queued. When you save that, automatically the changes being reflected here and the build is started. And I'll come back once the build is completed. So the build is started using .NET SDK 7.1. And restore the project dependencies. And build the project. So build is successful and publish artifact. So the job is completed successfully. In our previous step, what we have missed here is we have missed to pass the argument in the build is what is the configuration it should use to build, either debug or release. So now build is successful and now you can able to go that particular build and you can see that one published. So one is the artifact release. So we have configured the release and Azure DevOps demo.zip file. So this zip file contains the all the output files. And also one thing you might notice that once this YAML configuration is created, in the repos you can see the file which is created here. So if you want to edit in future, you no need to come to the Azure DevOps and modify it. You can download this YAML file and you can able to modify that and you can push the code into repo. Automatically when you push the code, it will reflect it into this build pipeline. So it will start building the project based on that steps what you have configured in this repo. So that is the advantage when you use the YAML. So you no need to log in into the DevOps. You just modify in your local and push to the repo. So that changes whatever been pushed to the branch, it will applicable to that pipeline automatically. Thank you. Hi, welcome to TTKSS. In this video session, we are going to discuss how to define the variables and use that variables in the tasks. So by default, we will get the variable name called build configuration. So now how we can use this build configuration, we'll see. and I'll create few variables and we'll walk through how we can use that variables. So now we can see how we can use these variables. So there is a section under Azure pipelines.yaml. There is a section variables for pipeline. So under that, by default, we have created one variable is build configuration. So where we can use this build configuration. Now you can see that this is the one place we are using release, we are using release, we are using release. So if I want to change this value release to debug or something, I want to update all the places wherever it is fine, it is having, otherwise it won't work. So instead of that, what I can do, I can declare this variable in a variable section. Then I will call that variable here. So how I can do is dollar build configuration. That's all. So when you declare it as a dollar build configuration, whatever the value is passing here, it will pass through the argument. So copy that and replace wherever the release being used, just replace. And the place it is required, so 3 places we have identified. So one is at build and second one is at publish. 2 places we have been identified. So save this, adding the build pipeline and save. So now the build will start automatically. Go to here. So build has been started and waiting for the agent. It just queue. So now we'll see, we'll wait a while until the job is started. And build started and it is completed. So, and we can go back to here. So package get generated. So like the way you can able to create n number of variables instead of hard coding at multiple places, you can able to create the variables and refer wherever you are using that particular value, you can refer that value. So that Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In the current session, we are going to discuss about templates. Why we need the templates in Azure build pipeline. Let's consider a scenario. We need to generate a output package for the build configuration for release and debug. In our previous video session, what we have discussed is generating a build package using the build configuration release. So we have followed all these steps. So one is mapping the .NET SDK version, restore the dependencies, and build the pipeline, and publish the code, and publish the build artifact. So 5 steps we have performed. So if I want to generate the package for debug, then I have to repeat these 5 steps one more time. But when we do that, the code duplicate will generate and maintenance will go very complex. But we need a solution. The code should not get duplicate and maintenance should be easy. What we have to do? To address that issue, we are going to use the template. Template will help us to build a common task. So you can reuse that common task n number of times by passing the dynamic parameter values. For example, here there is 2 steps is there. One is build. So here we are passing build parameter value is release. So these two particular steps like build and publish, I want to make these as a common task, and passing this build parameter value either debug or release, I want to generate the package. So I can call n number of times using that common task n number of times by passing the different values or same values also you can pass, no matter it is. But here the concept is we will reuse the same set of tasks with different parameters using the template. How we can generate that? So first I will go to the repository and clone this particular code into my local. So I have discussed how we can clone this code into local in our previous video sessions. You can watch it. Now I already did the clone the code. So this is the code we have copied into our local. So now what I have to do is I want to comment these two tasks. One is build and publish. So these two tasks is perform the build and publish. So I don't want to repeat these two things in my Azure pipelines.yml. I'll move this YML file inside this project. Then now I'm going to create a new folder, called it as templates. Under the templates, I will create one more file called build.yaml. So here, whatever the codes I have been commented here, I am going to add into the build pipeline. So open this and just copy there. So this task is performing the build the code. This task is going to perform the publish the code. We have discussed already about this, what this task will do, and you can hover that, you will get that response and what this task will do. So this particular task is going to build the code. This particular lines of code is going to perform the publish the code. Fine. We have created a common template which can able to perform based on the dynamic parameter values. If you pass this build configuration from here as debug, then it will generate the debug package. If you pass this as a release, then it will generate the release package. Why? Because we are taking input parameter. So parameters dot build configuration, we are taking that value. So how we can call this build.yaml from the Azure pipeline? How we can call is, as mentioned, I'll just remove this task which is not required. So this is generating build package, and this is for generating the debug package. This is release package. So we already know that what we are doing under build.yml. I'm just repeating here. In the build.yml, we created two tasks. One is build the code using the build configuration parameter. So that is either debug or release, and publish the code. So we can publish the code using this parameter. So two tasks we are performing, and those two tasks we are repeating multiple times by dynamic values. Fine. So just commit these changes. So adding build.yml and updating the Azure pipeline.yml. So here what we have created is YAML, right? So we need to update here YAML. Either way, you can change this as YML, and here you can modify as YML. Here also you can modify as YML and commit the changes. Fine. So commit the changes and sync the changes. Once the changes is pushed to the repo, you can see the commit. So what we have committed is adding build.yml and updating the Azure pipeline by YAML. Then once this code changes has pushed, automatically our build pipeline should get start building the code. So here it is running. You can see here restore, build, test, publish, and publish the artifact. So the artifact is generated. Now you can see the artifact here. The whatever the code it has generated, you can see. So that is the way you can reuse the particular task multiple times using the templates. Thank you. Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In this session, we are going to discuss about the release pipeline. So the release pipeline will help to automate your release process in few easy steps with new pipeline. So with this release pipeline, you can able to make auto deployment or the continuous deployment to the target machines. So now we'll see that how we can make it. So once you log in into the DevOps, click on pipelines and releases, click on new pipeline. Then you will get a template. So which template or which target machine you want to deploy. So there is lot of like app services you can deploy, or you can deploy to cluster, Kubernetes clusters, and lot of things you can make it. So now the first step what I'm going to do is on what basis or what code we want to deploy. First step is we need to remember that what code we want to deploy. So we want to add this artifact. Where we are getting from that is the build pipeline, where we have generated our build pipeline. This particular build pipeline will generate the artifact. You go here, so you can see that artifact is produced. Artifact is nothing but a output package of that particular web application. Then go to the releases, click on new pipeline. Then you can able to choose that artifact path to deploy into the target machines. So choose the web application, and here you can able to choose specified conditions, or you want to deploy the specific version or latest from the specific branch with the tags, latest from the build pipeline default branch with tags, specify at the time of release creation. So I'll just choose latest, click on add. Once you add the artifact, you can see a trigger icon. This will enable us to allow the continuous deployment. If you disable this, then each time you need to create a release pipeline manually to deploy the artifact into the target machines. So that is you need to enable it. Once you enable, you can see here we have enabled already. Then when there is a new artifact, latest code is artifact output is generated, then this will trigger automatically. So now we need to add the stage. So where we want to deploy this particular code. So you can create a new stage and you can choose a template. What template you want to, which location you want to deploy. So I'm going to choose app service deployment and I will call it as SIT. So this environment I will call it as SIT. Fine. Once you create a stage, you will get two actions is required. One job and one task you need to configure, and I will talk about this in a while. So first what we have to do is we need to configure this job. So to configure this job, some information we need to provide. So that information is which resource we need to add. I mean the target machine we need to add. Currently we are not getting any resource values, because when you link your Azure subscription to this Azure DevOps, then it will display here. If it not link, then you need to link that. So now we'll see that how we can able to do that. So first thing is just save this value. So since I already linked this, I can able to see this subscription. If we did not done, I'll show in a while how we can link that. So first thing is, then save this and give this name as release pipeline. So if here for you, if it is not displaying the subscription, I will show how to link that. First we save this and go back to the project settings. Under project settings, you will have the service connections. Under service connections, you can click on new service connection and you can select the Azure Resource Manager. Then click on next, service principal, next. Then when you come to this stage, it will prompt you the login page. Once you enter your Azure portal login details, then you will get whatever the necessary service connection details, like as mentioned here. You will get all those informations. Okay, so that's the way. First you need to link your Azure subscription to this Azure account to add the release pipeline. So if you don't add this, then in the release pipeline you will not get this details at here to configure the deployment machine details. So that is the one thing you must remember when you are creating the pipeline, release pipeline. You must link your service Azure subscription to the Azure DevOps. Then you will get all these subscription details here. As I show here, I'll just repeat one more time. Go to the project settings, service connection, and click on new service connection, Azure Resource Manager, and click next button and choose service principal automatic, and next. Then here you need to enter your subscription details. So then once you enter that, then you'll get display all those things. Once you can save that, it will display all these details. Then go back to the release pipeline. Then here you can able to see the list of Azure subscriptions and the services you have created. So for this demo, I have been created two app services. One is SIT, other one is UAT. So I think it was displaying both are same. So log in into the portal. From there I will get those. Under this you can find UAT D2KSS and open this. So this is UAT and this is SIT. So here whatever the app services being available, it will display all this here. Once you create this pipeline, what you can able to do, for example, you want to create for UAT as well, the same settings. So what you can do is you just clone it, click on it, and change the stage name is UAT. Then click on job or task. Here what you need to change is UAT D2KSS. Remember that this one we configure is SIT1 and the UAT one we configure the second app service UAT D2KSS. Once you configure this stage, you can able to configure the pre-deployment approvals or post-deployment conditions. What is this pre-deployment approvals? For example, mainly we use the pre-deployment approvals. Select the user who can approve or reject the deployment to this stage. Just enable. It will ask. So I'll just give the person who can approve and save. And same thing you do here also. Approvals and close it and save. So I'm just repeating the whole process. What we have did until now is we have added the artifact, then enable this continuous deployment, and here one more option is you can able to set the release triggers. So specific time only you can able to enable this trigger to run. So I'm not going to enable for that now. So just disable. And SIT, I have configured the pre-deployment conditions. I have given the person who can approve these requests, and one job I have configured. So this particular deploy Azure app service job will help to deploy the artifact into this particular app service D2KSS web app. And then in the UAT, we have cloned this particular stage and call it as UAT. And here we are deploying to another app service called uat.ttks. Fine. Once this stage is completed, what you can able to do here is go back to the repos under the web application 2. Generally from Visual Studio you can modify all these codes. So here change it as release. So edit this particular HTML directly in the repo itself. Release pipeline demo and remove this content. So click on commit, updating index.cshtml, save. Once you save here, automatically this build pipeline has been started building the code. So once I commit, I did not trigger anything manually. Everything it was doing by automate. So once there is a new code change, then it is start building that particular package and generating the artifact. So we'll just wait for a while until all the steps is finished. Once it's done, then we'll see whether releases is started deploying automatically to this particular SIT machine or not. So we'll see what is the state. So job is completed. Now go back to the release, and here what it was showing us already, the release pipeline has picked the artifact which is generated now, and it was showing that SIT is pending for approval. This one, it was showing the SIT is pending for approval. So the person who has to approve, he might receive the email already to approve the request. Go back to the email and see deployment to the stage SIT is waiting for approval. So just click on it and go to that approve. So SIT deployment is approved and approved. Once done, you can able to see that the deployment is in queue. So once agent is available, the deployment will start. So what is the page is available here is, it is showing welcome to DTKSS-9. So once deployment is completed, this page has to change as the release pipeline demo. So remove all this text and it has to show only the text is release pipeline demo. So we'll just wait while. So it is taking third steps. So it will go in a sequence. Here, if you want to watch the logs, you can able to watch the logs. So first step is pre-deployment approvals. Then run the agent. So agent, it is doing the deploying that particular code. You can see what it was doing here is got the service connection details for the Azure service. So it is fetching that service connection details which we are added. Then it is deploying the package and the package is deployed already. So it was showing that pre-deployment is approved and agent is completed following jobs. Initialize the job, download the artifact, deploy the Azure app service, finalize the job. Go back to this page, refresh. Now you can able to see whatever the code change. So, but this is UAT, still you can able to see this old code only. It is not deployed yet. But once this stage is completed, the SIT is completed, the UAT also showing that approval pending on you. So since I log in, so it is showing to me. So I have received one more email is deployment to the stage UAT waiting for approval. So what you can do is go back to here and click approve and give your comment. It is optional actually. UAT is approved. Approve. So once it is approved, you can see that same what we have did for the SIT. Job is queued and you can see the logs. Initializing the job, deploying the app service. So the deployment is completed successfully. Then you can able to see in UAT also the package what we have been deployed in SIT, it was reflected in UAT as well. So like the way you can able to configure the build pipeline to for continuous deployment for the different environments. Here once there is a code changes, new artifact is available, then release will be automatically triggered and it will send an email to this concerned person to get an approval. Once he approved, then the respective environments will deploy automatically. So this is about the release pipeline. Thank you. Hi, welcome to DTSS. In this session, we are going to discuss about task groups in Azure DevOps. So the task groups will help to create a sequence of tasks as a group and you can reuse that task into multiple build or release pipelines. So the advantage of using the task groups is we can reuse the same task groups into multiple pipelines. So meaning once you create a set of tasks, you can add them into the multiple pipelines. And if you change one place, the rest of if you change the one task, then rest of all the places that particular task being used will reflect automatically. And you can pass the dynamic parameters in the different conditions. So now I'll switch back to the Azure DevOps. Under pipelines, you can see the task groups link. Click on it. So it will allow us to import the task group from other projects as well. So to create the task group, I'm going to use this React application. So I have created two React applications, one React app and React app 2. So in this demo, I'm going to show here is I want to build this particular project. So for that, I'm going to create a new pipeline and go to the Classic editor. Under the Classic editor, I choose the Azure Repo kit and no need to change anything. Default, it was selected all the values. Now you go create empty job. So under this agent, we add the multiple tasks. For example, npm. So this particular task will help to install the npm, publish the npm packages, and run the npm command. So click on add. So if you click on that particular task and see the display name is npm install and command we are passing to that particular task is install, and we need to pass the work folder directory, which project it has built. So you need to choose my app. So this is the project package.json path it has to build. Fine. Now what we have to do is, next step is, once we npm install is completed, we need to build the application. So for that we will add one more. So I will just clone this task and modify from this clone task. So npm build, and here the command we need to pass build command. So here no build, so that's the reason we need to make it as a custom, and working folder is my app, so same project we need to build, but the command is run build. That's all. So the first task we are installing the npm, and then we are building the application, this my app application. So you can save and run this particular task, particular job you can able to run. But here few things I want to make this as dynamic and can reuse for the other projects is, if you notice that this my app is hard coded in this particular task, I want to replace this with the parameter. So I can say this as package JSON path. So this is the parameter, and wherever we are using, we need to pass that. So we don't want to use any hard coded value. If you use hard coded value, then we cannot reuse this particular task into other projects. So I have seen that there is no hard coded values in npm install, and npm build also there is no hard coded value. Remaining all is count. So I'll just right click and select the both tasks and right click on it and select the create the task group. So I will call this as a build, and the parameter, only one parameter required to pass for this task group, that is the package JSON path, and create. When you create the task, so both tasks is formed as a group, and you can see that task group and the name is build, and you need to pass the parameter here. So this is dynamic. So you can go and select that my app and save. First save, no need to run for now, and go back to the task group, and you can see the under task group you can see a template like a build. Under the build you can see that there is two tasks is there. Under this task group there is two tasks is there, npm install and npm build. When this task group is generated, you can see the working folder contains package.json is, we are passing parameter, so it is a dynamic value. So when it goes to the pipeline, so since we did not save this, okay, so here it was saved. So edit this pipeline. So the task group is created. Under this particular task group, we are passing the parameter is package JSON path. And now just queue this build pipeline. So you can see that whether this job is running as expected or not. So npm install step is continue. So the job is completed successfully, which takes almost a 1 minute 28 seconds to complete this job. Fine. So we configured the pipeline for the React.js app application. So now I want to create one more pipeline for one more React application which we created. So choose the repository is React app 2. Earlier we have created for React app. Now I am using for the another repository is React app 2. Continue and empty job. Now I want to add that particular task group here. So you can see here. So this is the particular build task is created by myself. So add it. So some settings is required. So what we need to pass here is the project path we need to pass app to. Earlier we passed my app. Now we are passing the app to. And just save and run. Running app to. So job is queued. It will take a while to initialize the job and to run the npm. So the job is completed successfully. In this whole process, what we have observed here is the same steps whatever been created for this React app pipeline. So these particular 2 steps under this task group being used for the other React application which created is used. So what is the change we are here we did is the dynamic parameters we are passing as we discussed in this task group at the beginning stage. We can reuse the same group for the multiple pipelines. So we have used already. Under my app I have used the same task. Under my app 2 also I have used the same tasks. And one place if you change it will get affect all the places. Meaning if you go to task group under this build, if you change anything here, any parameter or any value will change, both pipelines it will get affect. And parameterizing task groups can be used with different conditions. So here what we are doing is in this particular task we need to pass a parameter value is the package JSON path parameter we need to pass to build the application. So that's all about the task groups. Thank you.